Welcome to Wendy's Art. Before I start the actual artwork, I just wanted to show you some of the supplies that I use. You can see my Neocolor 2s there, variety of texture plates, a starfish, different paints, different brushes, palette knives, just a selection of things. There's inks and all sorts of things there, scrapers, foam tools. So yeah, these are just a few of the things that I use when I'm producing either a mixed media or an abstract work. I like to do lots of mark making. I think it gives depth and interest to an abstract artwork. So this is my space, and here we go to start the painting. Hi everyone, it's Wendy from Wendy's Art. As you can see behind me, I have a Ampersand Gessobord, 18 inch by 24 inches. I'm going to do an abstract on it today, using a varieties of turquoise blue, some pretty ocean greens, what have we got, quinacridone purple, and some whites, off-whites, titanium buff, that sort of thing. It will be a real mixed media piece. I'll be doing some mark making using the Neocolor 2s and maybe trying out some gelatos. I have a range of different mark making tools and brushes ready, so here we go. Okay, I'm really sorry, but the video didn't come on when I did this, so I'm making sure I see that it's turned on now. But what I did, I just got some black gesso and put it on this palette, got a very wet brush, picked up the paint and just literally flicked it on, and then some areas I used a scraper to just scrape the paint around. So that's all I've done so far, so not too bad. All right, so I like to get those darks down, and first time in a long time that I've actually flung paint, and I love the look. It's just random organic lines and dots, so pretty happy with that. So next is to use Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s. These are water soluble, and I've sort of tried to pick out colours that go with my colour palette. And these are one thing that I use for my mark making. So here we go. Okay, so I finished doing the mark making with the Neocolor 2s. It's looking pretty awesome. And now what I'm doing is spritzing the whole thing with water. The Neocolor 2s are water soluble. If I go over them in paint, it's likely to smear and end up in the paint colour, which is sometimes really nice, and I do that. But this time, giving it a good spritz of water and then letting all the drips come down. Sometimes I'll use alcohol to do that as well, but the water seemed to work really well today. So once that's done, I'll just let it dry. Okay, it's all dry now. So as you can see, there's lots of drips and it's quite a colourful background, and that's how I like to start. So what I'm doing now is I've put out some green metallic and turquoise metallic, and I'm going to use this small red line by Princeton brush, number 3 inch, and I'm just going to get some colour on here. So I'm going to do a fairly big area with these colours. This will be my main palette. Okay, so now I'm starting to get some colour on there using the turquoise metallic and the green metallic. Just giving it a bit of a spray to get a bit of texture going. And also I'm cutting into the paint to make some marks. Excuse my head. Okay, so moving around the canvas, the board now, getting some lighter colours in, some quinacridone nickel as a gold, and some of the Quin purple. Okay, just using a little scraper there and a mark making tool. Okay, so I think I'll leave that layer there, let it dry, and then we'll return to do some more. Okay, while the paint's wet, I'm just going to see if I can press my little shell. Might have left it a bit late. Oh no, just making a few texture marks with the shell. And my little baby starfish. Hi there. So what I'm going to do next is my stencil stage. I have a home cut stencil that I cut out using my Cricut machine. I've got a few little stencils that I've been making recently, so I thought I'd use them on this abstract. What I'll use now is chroma acrylic texture paste, and I'm going to use that just to give a bit of depth to the stencils. Okay, now I'm up to some more stenciling, again using, sorry, picked up a stick, using one of my stencils that I cut out on the Cricut, just some random little marks and some organic squiggly lines. So, and I'm using black gesso this time. It's sort of not as thick as white gesso, but let us see. Okay, back with some white gesso this time, and again using some of my Cricut original stencils. This one here, I really love, just, it's a little bit like the mark making that I do. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm not going to use the whole thing, but just little parts of this. Again, using this little, what's it called? It's rubbed off, but it's a great little stencil brush. Okay, where do I want this? That all seems to be dry. So I've just put a little tiny bit of the metallic blue into this bowl, and then I'm adding some glazing liquid gloss by Atelier. So I'm just going to glaze a bit of that metallic colour. So I'm putting more glazing liquid than paint. Mix that in. Beautiful colour. Okay, so here I'm wanting to do some more mark making in the final layers. So I've selected some white acrylic paint pens and just putting on some different little squiggles and designs, whatever. I also in this section add some inks. I have a gold ink and a silver ink. So I'm going to speed this up, but it's basically just doing some mark making and adding some interest to the painting. So here I've swapped over to the silver ink. It's a really lovely ink to work with. I just use a fine paint brush. What I'm doing is just dotting over some of those texture paste stencil marks that I made, and just making a few more marks as well, some little dots and things. Here I'm using gold and high flow acrylics to go over the sand sections, just to try and unite them with the pieces of the orangey nickel azo gold next to them, because they're just looking a little bit too bright. So I'm putting it on in a very watery, diluted sort of coat, but then I'm using paper towel to knock some of it back so that it doesn't look as orange as the colour next to it, but it's got a few different colours in it rather than just being the straight Naples yellow. So here I'm moving on with a bit more ink. This time I used a combination of copper, gold and quinacridone nickel azo gold, just to get a sort of a browny coppery colour, again to add a bit more variety and interest. So I'm just going around and covering some of those white dots and in a few other places as well. So I'll speed it up here. So here I'm using my finger just to add some of that copper mixture ink on top of some of the black dots, the black stencil marks, and it sort of, because you're using your finger, it's got a unique little bit of texture there. And now I'm using, it's a copper rubbing, I'm just trying to think what it's called. I'll try and list the name of it underneath. It's like a gilding wax, and you basically just, it's very smelly, and apparently, yeah, I shouldn't have used my finger. I think I'd change in a minute. I'm wearing a mask while I'm using this because the odour was quite strong, and I'm sensitive to some of these odours. So wear a mask when you're using this and the gilding paste as well. I'm realising now that I shouldn't have used my fingers, so I'm going to get one of the blue paper towels, wrap it around my finger, and then use that to apply the rubbing paste. So I'll speed it up from here. Okay, so here I've got the phthalo green out, blue shade, and I'd like to just break up some of the blue in the middle and add some of this green. So I'm trying to use this starfish as a stamp, but it wasn't very successful. I got a few little marks from it. You can see one just above that I've done. And then what I move on to do is just using a diluted wash of this green, just adding it in different places just to give a few different colour gradients. So I'll speed it up from here, so it's basically just, yeah, putting some greens down. Okay, here I'm just working out where to add some seashells and some little starfish. I'm trying to get a focal area, but it's not working in the right place, and I want to break the sand up, so they're going to go on the sand. I'm now using the Pebeo gilding wax, similar to the copper one I was using a few minutes ago. Once again, I have a mask on because of the odour. And basically doing the same thing as I did with the copper. I'm just finding some spots that I'd like to enhance with this beautiful wax that gives a gorgeous shine. So I'll speed it up from here for the rest of this little bit. Okay, so here I'm using a palette knife and some golden soft gel medium gloss to attach the shells to the surface. Once dry, I'll then go over the top with a gel medium. So just fixing them with a nice thick layer so that they don't fall off. Here I'm using a palette knife and some blue metallic paint just to make some little texture marks with the palette knife. So that's the end of the painting. This is the final painting, and I've then decided to show you some of the close-ups just to see the texture and all the layers that went into making this abstract mixed media artwork. Had lots of fun doing it. Love the colours. They are really the colours that I love to work with. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe so I can try and grow my channel. And yeah, have a great day. Thank you. Bye.